Scene 1. Arrival in the narrow street. Emily Carter stepped out of the yellow cab and looked up at the narrow street in Brooklyn where her new home waited. The air was colder here, strangely silent compared to the rest of New York. The buildings were old brownstones, their bricks darkened by decades of soot and rain. Streetlights flickered with a sickly yellow glow, leaving long shadows across the cracked pavement. The townhouse she had bought stood at the very end of the street, its windows shuttered, its door scratched as if someone had tried to claw there. Way in or out, Emily felt an odd pull, the same sensation she'd felt when she first saw the listing online. Something about the place whispered to her, though she could never explain why. Dragging her suitcase over the uneven sidewalk, she noticed the neighbors watching from behind their curtains. A couple of teenagers stood across the street, whispering to each other and shaking their heads. She could almost hear them. Another fool buying the cursed house. Inside, the air smelled of dust and faint incense, as though someone had burned it decades ago, and the scent had never left. The hallway was narrow, with peeling wallpaper patterned in faded red and gold, reminiscent of Middle Eastern designs she'd once seen in a museum. Emily turned on a small lamp. The shadows stretched unnaturally long across the walls. She felt uneasy, but also strangely at home. That night, as she unpacked in the upstairs bedroom, she heard something. At first it was faint like the wind through broken glass, but then it became clearer. A low murmur, almost a whisper. She froze. The sound was coming from beneath her feet, from the basement.
She froze in place, sweat dripping down her forehead. The sound from below repeated like a strange chant, words twisted and unclear. With every syllable, the lights in the apartment flickered weaker. She took a cautious step toward the basement door, the old wood creaking under her weight, as if the house itself was breathing with her. A foul stench rushed into her face, thick and suffocating. The air was warm to warm, like it was seeping from a living body rather than a basement. From below, a staircase appeared, broken and damp, leading down into endless shadows. She tightened her grip on the flashlight, her hand trembling as she stepped onto the first creaking stair. The chanting grew louder now, layered voices, not just one. Male, female, whispers overlapping like they were coming from every corner. Her breath turned shallow, each step echoing too loudly in the suffocating silence. At the bottom of the stairs, the narrow hallway opened into a wide underground room. Symbols covered every wall, drawn in ash, scratched into the bricks, painted in what looked disturbingly like dried blood. In the center, a circle of candles flickered, though none had been lit by her. The flame colors weren't orange but a sickly green. She stepped closer, the sound now clear. Voices chanting in a language she couldn't understand, but the room was empty. Her flashlight shook as she scanned the walls until her eyes caught movement in the corner. A shadow peeled itself away from the wall, taller than any human, its glowing white eyes fixed directly on her.